What's up, YouTube? It's Darren, the bow tie fragrance guy on the channel where we talk about fragrance and fashion. I think both are equally important. So if you love looking good and smelling great, you're going to enjoy this content. Well, I hope you will, at least. So if you don't mind, go ahead and click the subscribe button and make sure that you hit the bell icon as well to ensure you get notified when I upload new content on the channel. All right, guys, so you see the title of today's video, 5 fragrances that I used to hate, but now I love. What I found, and most of you that have been collecting for a long time will probably attest to the same thing. A lot of these were due to the fact that when you first get into fragrances, oftentimes you are going to notice that your taste is going to change, or your nose may mature to the point where some things that you did not like, you can later on start to appreciate these fragrances. And most of the ones on this list today were more of a result of that. So this is an interesting topic and one that I think that's definitely worth exploring. And I have 5 fragrances on the list today that at one point in time, when I first initially put my nose on these fragrances, I was not a fan. And then as time progressed, now I actually love these fragrances. So if you want to see what made the list, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in, man. We're going to go ahead and jump into this video. As always, cheers to you guys that have joined into the coffee movement with me, and you understand the art of drinking coffee and smelling fragrances. It's just something about it. I don't know. But anyway, let's get into this list, man. So the first one on the list comes from the house of Amouage, and this fragrance is called Memoir Man. Memoir Man. Now, I know a lot of fragrance enthusiasts that had this as like one of their favorite fragrances from the house of Amouage. And for me, I didn't really get it initially when I smelled it. But again, this was near the beginning of my journey. And for some reason, it did not resonate with me at the time. It was just a little bit too complex for me. But man, oh man, how much do I enjoy and appreciate this fragrance now, because it is just absolutely fantastic. Oh my God. See, with this fragrance, the reason is there's something in here for some people that you may not really understand where this fragrance is trying to go. I mean, it's got mint and basil in the opening, and then the heart, there's lavender and spices, and then the dry down is just leather and all incense, all kind of stuff going on with this fragrance. But for me at this stage in my life, I appreciate the complexity of this scent, and it just smells so freaking good. It's so unique and so different that it's just so good to me now, and I just appreciate how great of a fragrance this stuff right here is. Now again, this is something that's not going to be for everybody, but you will find that a lot of fragrance enthusiasts that talk about their top Amouage fragrances, a lot of them do mention this particular fragrance. And I have to say, at this point in my journey, I absolutely love this stuff. So check it out from the house of Amouage. This fragrance is called Memoir Man. Now the next fragrance up on the list it surprised a lot of people. I mentioned this one before, how I did not really like this one at first. And I've told this story a lot, but I'll tell it again. But this one comes from the house of Creed, and this is called Silver Mountain Water. Silver Mountain Water. Now this turned out to be my most complimented Creed fragrance. Now Aventus does give this a run for its money, as well as GIT, but this is my most complimented Creed fragrance. And again, it was very early in my journey, and that inky metallic thing, I smelled it initially. When I put it on my skin, I was like, Got in my car, I purchased something else, got in my car and drove back to work, and I had to get right back in my car as it started to dry down and then go pick this thing up. So this was a little bit different from the standpoint that it was almost, you know, an immediate turnaround from hate to love. But nonetheless, when I first put it on my skin, I wasn't a fan. But now I absolutely love this scent from the house of Creed. Again, Silver Mountain Water. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on the list comes from the house of Tom Ford, and this one is called Noir Anthracite. Noir Anthracite. This is another fragrance that, again, once my nose matured somewhat, I really, really fell in love with this fragrance. And I have a story about this one as well. When it first came out, I got some samples and I was like, get this as far away from me as you can. Tom Ford, what were you thinking about? Because this comes from the Noir line. So you had the original Noir, the EDT, the EDP. Then, of course, you had Noir Extreme, which I love. And then you had this thing right here, this peppery, manly, masculine, spicy, leathery kind of scent. And again, when I first smelled it, I could not appreciate it. I was out one day doing some shopping, maybe like a year and a half later, and I sprayed this on my hand. I said, let me try it again. And I kept walking around shopping. And just like Silver Mountain Water, I had to turn around and go back to that store and pick this thing up because I really appreciate it. If you want to step out in a formal attire and smell like a man, this is something that you really need to put your nose on. So if you like those really masculine, manly kind of scents, this is one I think you really, really will enjoy from the house of Tom Ford. Check it out. It was a hate for me at first, but now it's a love. This is called Noir Anthracite. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on the list, another one from early in my fragrance journey. This one is a classic in the community. It comes from the house of Mugler, and this is the original Mugler A Men fragrance. So this is the original one that has the blue star in the front, as you can see. And I hated this fragrance. When I first got into the fragrance community, one of my favorite designer scents, and this was like within my first 2 or 3 months, I picked up Pure Havana, Pure Malt, loved them. I smelled this one as well, but that tar note completely turned me off. But again, as my nose matured and I understood a little bit more how you can wear fragrances in certain seasons, and then how in certain seasons, certain notes really project more on your skin or more prominent, I came back to this in the winter season later on in my journey and just really loved and appreciated everything about this fragrance, what it's been to the fragrance community as a whole. And when it came out in 1996 and kind of changed the game, that was the era of all the aquatic fragrances. You had Acqu Di Gio, you had Curve for Men, which were lighter, more fresher kind of fragrances. And then you had this kind of skanky, patchouli fragrance, but it really changed the game. And now I really love it and respect it. So this one, again, the original release from the A Men line. This is Mugler A Men, and again, it was released in 1996. All right, guys, and last but not least, I know a lot of you gonna kind of try to come after me for this one, but it is what it is. When I first smelled it, my nose wasn't mature enough to appreciate it. This one is from the house of Andy Tower, and it's called Allure du Désert Marocain. And when I first got my nose on it again, just could not appreciate the beauty of this fragrance, but now, oh my gosh, it is a gorgeous fragrance, such a masterpiece, so artistic in what it does. I still will say this is not like a crowd-pleasing kind of fragrance, but man, if you're really into fragrances, you can really appreciate what this fragrance really, really is, man. It captured the essence of being in a dry desert, essentially, is what it did, and somehow, man, mission accomplished, and it's just really, really good, man. So this was one again for me. I wasn't really, my nose wasn't mature enough to appreciate it, but now I love everything about it. So check this one out from the house of Andy Tower. This is Allure du Désert Marocain. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time, man. I hope you enjoyed this list of fragrances today, as I gave you 5 fragrances in my collection that was initially a hate, and that may be a strong word, or dislike, but now I love these fragrances. As always, I appreciate your time and your attention to these videos, because I know you don't have to watch. You could have been doing anything else, but you took a few moments to watch it, man. I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget, if you don't mind, to take a few moments to like, comment, as well as subscribe. And make sure you share these videos out to folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.